What's going on, everybody? Today we are reviewing set 10236, the LEGO Star Wars Ewok Village. This set originally came out in 2013, and at the time it retailed for $250, but as many of you probably know, this is one of the more rare and desirable LEGO Star Wars sets out there, and so 10 years later, in 2023, it goes for a lot more. If you want a sealed copy of this set, it'll run you at least $500, but it usually trends more closer to $600, and that's what I paid for mine back in May. And used, it's still not cheap. You'll pay probably around the $350 to $400 range if you find a good deal on this set. So, getting into this review, the big question is, 10 years later, is this still a good set? And in my opinion, I definitely think it is. What you're getting out of this set that you don't really see too much in other LEGO Star Wars sets is you're getting a lot of greenery here, and you're getting a lot of detail that isn't mainly gray. There's hardly any gray in this set, as you can probably see here. And that's not really a bad thing with the LEGO Star Wars sets, most of them being gray, because I like them a lot, and I think they're really cool on display, but it's nice to have something that's unique. And this definitely fits that. It's unique, it stands out. Even if this wasn't a super rare set, I think this would still catch a lot of people's attention in your LEGO collection. So let's go ahead and get into our first part of the review. And for that, we're going to be taking a look at this first little structure right here. So this first structure is actually able to easily be viewed by separating. It's connected with these Technic pins and this rope bridge. And you can easily separate it from the rest of the Ewok Village to get a better look at it. So let's go ahead and start this first part of the review. Alright, so kicking things off with this first structure of the Ewok Village. Compared to the rest of it, it's definitely not as good, but I still think it looks really nice. So the first thing that comes to mind are these printed mushroom pieces. I really like those a lot. You can see lots of plant life and foliage here. They use different colors with the tree trunk, so you've got some more of this kind of dark orangish color, and then you've got the reddish brown continued throughout most of the tree. And I like the foliage and all of the leaf elements they use. They use olive green, bright green, and the dark green, which is a nice variety, I would say. And towards the back, it doesn't look the best, but you're not really looking at it from this angle most of the time either. There's also this panel right here, which is able to pull out, which is part of a play feature that I'll show off later. But one of the more notable parts of this particular area is this rope ladder, which is how you access the one of many ways you can get into the Ewok Village. And it's constructed with these battle droid arms, and it's kind of tedious to put that together, but definitely worth it. And as we get into the second floor of this, you can see there's this nice little balcony, which I like the kind of curved angle that they have here. You can probably comfortably fit 2 minifigures up here, and I like these torches right here. Those add a lot, and then the foliage is continued up top. And one of the most interesting parts about this particular structure is, well, actually inside of here, you can see that it's probably better if I show it off from the back. You can see there is this tiled platform, and what you can do is you can stick an Ewok, or really any minifigure will work, and you can slide them onto this platform. And that panel we showed off earlier is actually able to pull out, and boom, just like that, you can launch your Ewok from the top to the ground layer to very quickly attack some stormtroopers and bring the Empire's rule to an end. Now, this, of course, is able to connect back to the Ewok Village via this rope, and they just connect like that very easily. Boom, just like that, and it's back at it again, connected with the rest of the Ewok Village. Before we get into the main village, though, I kind of want to show off this rope bridge. It definitely tests your patience as you are building it. It's able to detach from both sides so that we can get a better look at it, but this is probably one of the parts of the set that you should take your time with, because if you don't, it'll be very noticeable. I probably should have been a little bit more patient with building it myself, but this, like the ladder, uses lots of battle droid arms, and You can also see there are jumper plates, so you can pose minifigures on it, and I like that you can kind of bend it to kind of have a more unique shape to it, and it can have a bit more curve to it so it doesn't look super straight like this, because I like that. It makes it look more rugged, I guess. And it can, of course, connect back to the main part of the village. Speaking of which, this is the main section of the Ewok Village, and this is definitely where most of the action is taking place in this set. You can see there are 3 main structures to it, as well as this big central area, which has lots of details on it. I really like the drums and the bonfire, and you can't miss 3PO's little throne back there. But before we get into the details up top, there's also a few things on this bottom ground layer, and on these tree trunks you're able to see a few play features and other details. So the first detail we'll look on this ground layer at is this trunk right here. And you can see there's a spider right here, of course, and the play feature that goes with this. If you push down on a piece like right up here, you can actually extend this spider web out. And the point of this is for you to hopefully knock the scout trooper off of his speeder. It's a nice little trap. And this can, of course, go back inside the trunk to be kind of hidden away, which is nice. You can see more foliage down here. There's some leaves and vines and more of those printed mushroom pieces as well, which I really like. And then this next trunk is also really cool. You can do something really cool with the Ewoks included, and just any of the minifigures. There are these steps leading up to this little door right here, which is a secret passage. This opens up, and you can see there's a sticker piece right there, and there's also one on the opposite side as well, which I kind of like a bit more than that one, and it has a scout trooper with some tally marks right there, which looks pretty cool. But the main feature of this is that it is a hiding spot for some of the minifigures, so you can fully enclose an Ewok or any minifigure in the set, as long as they don't have any crazy accessories inside of there, which is really cool. And then also, as we saw, there's this net to the side where you can fit a couple minifigures in there as well. And then the last trunk, and probably the less exciting out of the 3, the least one, is this trunk right here. It just has a few weapons that you can fit inside of there. Curious to see if you can fit a minifigure inside here. You probably can, though it's not intended for that. So you kind of, not really, but that's just a secret weapon stash. You get a few extra spears that you can attach to that, and there's more foliage on this side. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the main attraction here, which is the second layer of the Ewok Village. So the second floor is definitely where most of the action takes place. You can see there's 3 main structures, and there's just a lot going on here. So let's go ahead and remove the minifigures so we can get a much better look at everything that is located on this second layer. Alright, so kicking things off here, we'll look at this first structure, which all of these are able to rotate 360 degrees, and you can see some stairs leading up to this top layer, which has a nice balcony, more greenery, and a torch. And you can rotate this around, and you can see more vines on the side of the structure, and it's very flimsy. Usually these fall off a lot when you're rotating them, but on this bottom layer we've got a nice little bedroom with a nightstand and a torch, and then the top has just a small little entrance. You can see the exciting part about this is there's a sticker piece which actually has some blueprints for the glider that the Ewoks use in the movie, and you can also see a bow right there, which is pretty nice. Now moving on to the center of this, which is probably where most of my favorite details are. You can see one drum set right here, which is kind of boring, and there's a bonfire, which is actually able to rotate, and I'll show that off later. But my favorite detail are these stormtrooper helmets that are used as a drum set. In the movie, you can see a Sand Trooper, a Death Star Trooper, and a Scout Trooper all the way to the right there. And there's also some totem poles in the back where, of course, in the movie, that is where they hold Luke, and I think it's Han, captive. On those, you can see some barrels with some various weapons, and then there is, of course, the throne that C-3PO sits on, and you can see it's elevated to look like Luke is using the Force to lift 3PO up to make him look like a god, like they do in the Return of the Jedi movie. And let's go ahead and show off those totem poles. And as you can see, you can attach these 2 minifigures to the rope pieces to hold them captive by the Ewoks, which is a nice little play feature right there. And now let's get into this kind of center hut. So, like the other huts, the center one is also able to rotate. They're very, very flimsy though. Every time I try to rotate them, they usually come loose, but you can see the inside's kind of plain. There's not much going on there. It's just a simple bonfire and a few torches. But what's more interesting is this catapult on the top here. It's a nice little defense mechanism that the Ewoks have used. And it does work. You can see some ammunition right here, which is pretty cool. And then next to it is, of course, 3PO's throne. And then we have this bonfire. And as you can see, it is just not Han Solo's day. You can move him around the bonfire like this, which is kind of funny, like in the movie. And he's just really not having the best of days, unfortunately, but maybe it'll get better soon for him. And then the last play feature that's on this top area is C-3PO's throne. You can see through this clip piece, you can actually adjust the height of his throne. So right now it's like lifted up in the air through the Force, but you can also lower it to be on the ground. And then there is one other play feature right here. And what you can do is we'll take our speeder bike from before. Let me just adjust this so it's more in view here. There we go, perfect. And so what you can do is you can take your speeder bike and pay close attention to these hammers here. If you push this in, the hammers retract, but then if you push, or I guess, yeah, you pull it, the hammers swing down as well to hopefully knock the scout trooper off of his speeder. And then here's just a closer look at the mechanism from the back here. So it's very dramatic, I would say, but yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the last hut of the Ewok Village. Just like the others, this hut is able to spin around to reveal the interior. This is probably my favorite out of the three. It's also the biggest. It's slightly taller than that one. And there's more greenery on it and more torches as well. And as this spins around, you can see a nice little cooking pot with some carrots inside of there, as well as a bag and a barrel up top there. And this is able to spin around again, though the net attached to it can kind of get in the way of that, which I also like. You can either have stormtroopers or the rebels inside of there. It's a nice additional play feature. And now let's go ahead and get into the 2 side builds included in this. So our 2 side builds include this catapult down here, which is really interesting. I think this is actually the first thing that you build. And you can see the ammunition is just on the side here. And there is some more leaves. There's some more leaves on the bottom here. And this actually does work. You just push down on this and you can launch out a piece of rock, it looks like. And then the next side build, which I think is cooler, the catapult's nice, but it's kind of random, is this speeder bike for the scout trooper. It doesn't use many pieces, but it still looks very detailed despite that. You can see this backpack on the back here. They also have these clear pieces, so it looks like it's floating, which I really liked a lot. And it's very nice, very detailed. I would say you could probably fit another minifigure on top of here if you took off the backpack, but it's only designed for the one. And let's go ahead and get into the minifigures, which there are 17 of in this set. All right, and then these are all 17 minifigures included in the set. And you can see you get 2 scout troopers, and they have that balaclava face print, 2 stormtroopers, 2 of these rebel commandos, and you also get the main squad, Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, 3PO, and R2. And then you get 5 Ewoks. So in total, we have 17 minifigures, with 4 still being exclusive to this set. So these are the 4 exclusive minifigures, and they're very expensive, I would say. My favorite is definitely Princess Leia, but Leia and Teebo both range upwards of $60, while the Rebel Commando is around $15, and Luke can trend at $30. So those are the exclusive minifigures, and I think all of the minifigures in this set are great. So let's go ahead and get into my final impressions of this set. So, my final thoughts on this set. If we consider it through its original retail price of $250, yes, I think this is definitely worth it. You get 1,990 pieces for it, so not the best price per piece, but still very good considering the amount of minifigures that you get in this set and just the sheer amount of detail in it. It stands out a lot. I think this would grab a lot of people's attention, even if it wasn't one of the most rare LEGO Star Wars sets on the market. I think it would still stand out a lot, I think, because it's very rare that you see kind of this colorful green scene in a LEGO Star Wars set. So I really like it for that. It stands out, it's unique. The minifigures, outstanding. I think this is, I can see why this is one of the most highly rated LEGO Star Wars sets of all time. So I would definitely buy it for my collection if I were you. It's definitely a bit pricey, but I still think it's worth it with the aftermarket price. Bit expensive, but isn't all LEGO expensive. So yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10. I really like it. I can't really find too much that I don't like about it. Given that it's 10 years old, it's impressive that it still holds up today, and it honestly looks better than like half my LEGO Star Wars sets, which is saying a lot because as LEGO kind of releases new sets over the years, they get more and more detailed, and usually the older sets get kind of left behind and they start to definitely show their age, but this one does not. It still holds up, so definitely would recommend this set for you. But yeah, that's the end of my review, so definitely leave a comment and let me know what you guys think of this LEGO Star Wars set. Is it overrated? And would you get it for your LEGO collection? And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to subscribe if you are new around here, and stay tuned for more LEGO content. But that's all for today, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.